Looking for the arms. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, January 31st, 2025, and the time is 9:13. And I'd like to call the Contract Review Committee meeting to order. My name is Veronica Bolchik, and I'm the chair of the committee. First action, I'd like to establish quorum. So up on Zoom, Joanna Roach.
Here.
Linda Williams.
Here.
Okay, in person, Sue Mithanen,
Present.
John Balash.
Here.
And myself. So we have a quorum. Next item is approval of the agenda.
So move,
So
Madam
moved.
Oh,
Chair.
attendance, I'm sorry, attendance. We also have two staff members, so John, I did this last time. Jarek O'Malley.
Here.
And Alexandra Richards.
Here.
All right. And I don't believe we have any members of the public with us today. No one's anticipated anyway. Next item then is approval of the agenda.
So move, Madam Chair. I'll
Okay.
second it.
Okay, second by Sue, first by Linda. A vote, Joanna,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
myself, I. So we have an approval of the agenda. We have minutes from January 10th, 2025. Thank you, Alexandra, for providing that. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Second, someone?
Second.
John. So Linda,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
myself. So we've approved those minutes. Thank you again, Lexi, for providing in a timely fashion. Public comment, I don't think we have any. I don't see anyone on the screen. There's no one in in person, so we will go on to item number 4. Before we do that, I want to thank everyone in advance for the time and effort in this process. It's an extremely important one, and I think that hopefully we're getting better at doing this. Lexi, have you do you have a tally sheet? Okay. Okay.
I can share it. I have it up here as well. It's that.
Okay.
The AVG tab on the average one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All righty. So, I think we'll look at this in sections. So, we will first address the Health and Human Services grant applicants, which starts with the Safe Place and goes down to Fairwinds. What Lexi has done is she has taken all of our individual results in the 5 different areas and has put together a summary sheet of the 4 that she received. And Linda, if while we're looking at this, if your results are different, or if you want to add in, we could discuss.
So Linda, we can calculate the averages on the fly. So if you want to send us your numbers in,
Well, I can give them to you.
that would work too. Do you want to collect? Sorry. So go ahead, Linda.
It's
Oh,
1 to
sorry,
5, correct?
It's 1 It's one,
5, 3, 1, and a 0.
yeah.
So,
5, 3, 1, and 0.
yeah,
So
so
my
if,
safe place is my safe place is always a 5 for me
For which criteria?
across the board.
Okay.
Artists Association. I got to come back to that. I've just gone round and round and round in my head about that. Athenaeum. I'm comfortable with where you are at the Athenaeum.
We don't need where we are. We need your numbers, Linda.
Um,
Because we have to,
I was
we
a
have
3.
to.
I was a 3 and 1. I was a 3 at the criteria 1.
Okay.
Probably a 2 for the rest of them. And that particular one.
It's a 1, a 3, a 0, 1, a 3, or a 5.
I know. I keep going back to the 2. I like 2.
I get it, but that's not
That
one
would-
of the integers
a-
available.
I know, but
It
I
isn't?
like 2. I'm just comfortable with 2. But all right, so I'll give a Nantucket Athenaeum a 1, a 1, a 3, and a 1.
Next.
Dreamland struggled with that
Boys
one
and
too. I'm going
girls.
to come back. I'm going to come back to that one. I was struggled with that one. Boys and Girls Club was very interesting to me. I think I gave them a 3 on criteria 1, a 1 on the 2, a 3 on the 3, a 3 on the 4, and a 1 on the 5. These spreadsheets are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Elder Services is a 5 for me. A 3, a 5, a 3, and a 3. Health Imperatives is a 5 at 1, criteria 1. Criteria 2 is a 3. Criteria 3 is a 3. Criteria 4 is a 3. Criteria 5 is a 3. I suppose a 3 in the herd. Still having trouble with that. And then I went 1 across the rest of it. Interfaith Council is always a 5 for me, the first one, and it's a 3 across the board. Lighthouse School was interesting for me. I think I did a 3 and then I went 1, 1, 3, and a 1. I can't give people zeros.
That's fine.
5 on MVCS. A 3, a 3, a 3, and a 3. If I can't go to 2. NAMI is a 3. A 3. A 3, a 3, and a 1. I struggled with this one. A 3. Sharing kindness, a 3. And then a 1. A 1. A 1 and a 1. Sherburne, I just don't know how functioning this is going to be, but I'll give them a 5 on the first one. A 1 on the second one, a 3, a 3, and a 3. Palscoth Legal, I always give them a 5. I give them a 3, a 3, a 3, and a 3. Star Program, a 5. a 3, a 3, a 3, a 3. Warming place, a 5. And a 3 across the rest of it. Before I get to Fairwinds, which was the one I didn't do? Was it Artist Association
Artist Association.
And Dreamland.
Yeah.
in Dreamland? Dreamland's a 3. A 1, a 1, a 1, a 1. Artist Association is my pet project. A 5. And then a 3. This is where I had a problem. A 3, a 3, a 3.
And we're down to Fairwinds.
Now why isn't there anything in Fairwinds down here?
I don't think we've added all the numbers up.
Oh, okay, because I only see a 4 in criteria 5. I don't see anything else.
The formula was getting stretched.
Yeah.
It's always
Oh,
fun to
that's
do it
weird.
live on the skip.
Well, I'm gonna give them a 5. If you're gonna want and put mine in there, I'll give them a 5 on the first one. There we go. I'll give them a 5 on the first one and 5 on the second one, 5 on the third one, and then a 3 and a 3.
All right, let's just finish up with the substance and then we can move on. So do you have your,
5.
Okay. 5?
Yep. 5. 5. 3, 3. I'm comfortable with the 3 on health imperatives. I'm comfortable. See, I don't have a 2. 3 on the next one. 3 on the next one. 3 and 3. Yeah. I'll give him a 3 there. A 3 across the board. I struggle with this one. I don't know where to go with this one. I'm comfortable with the 1 all the way across.
All righty. Thank you. All right, so we now have accurate tallies for all. So,
I'll lead this up for discussion.
yes.
Okay.
Please do. All righty.
I'm gonna write
Um,
them down.
It's, having now done this for, I guess last year is the first year that we did this fully with the rubric. And I did mine and then I leave it, I go back and then I start looking back at the applications and I come back and very rarely did I go back then and change a criteria. So, I've taken all the information in and now that I'm looking at the totals, I don't see a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? I think that in some ways we are all in agreement on
Divergence.
that, right, exactly. Even though we all did this, we all listened, we did it independently, but at the end, the number may be a little bit different in the total, but it ultimately, I think we have a document that we can work with.
I'm fixing Fairwinds because I copied the formula, but the recusal from one is going down. So
You
Okay.
gotta turn your microphone on and you have to speak into it. I know because I'm in there every 5 minutes for a meeting and I can't hear
fixing-
anything you said.
Fairwinds average because I copied down the formula and it's taking the recusal from warming place, so I have to fix that.
I was gonna say, this
Oh,
looked like.
weird. Can you move this screen up a little bit, Jericho, so I can see the numbers for substance? Okay, 14, 4, 14, 9.5. Okay. Got it.
Okay,
Well, that one's gonna be tough.
you know, I know that, we are all still getting used to using this procedure, but this tally sheet, and Jericho, correct me, this tally sheet becomes part of our official recommendations, and it goes to the finance department, et cetera, et cetera. So as we move forth, this is not going away, and we just are going to be getting better and better, hopefully, at doing this. So, thank you for your efforts in getting this done. And so where do we start?
Well, to normally, to give you an example, when the CPC does their stuff, we all have their conversations, but then we all start at the top. And are they in or are they out? Is how we end up doing it. If there's some that we can't give any money to this year since we have $1 billion worth of requests, we go through and some stay in, some stay out. Either they meet the criteria or not enough of the criteria, or we simply can't fund them, period. Would that be an exercise you might want to entertain as to who's in, who's out at this point?
Okay.
We should fund it.
Possibly. Sue has her hand up.
So when I was just looking at my own personal results, I kind of picked a number like anything 15 or below. I kind of didn't want to think about anymore until I dealt with the ones that scored the highest. Because, yeah, not everybody's going to get everything.
Right.
Some people are maybe not going to get anything. So what are our priorities?
Okay.
I'd like to think they're the ones that scored.
Okay.
Well-
What I also just want to state, I know that earlier this month, I had recused myself on Interfaith Council. And I did that because at that point, a family member was receiving some compensation. And that is no longer as of last week. So I feel like I do want to participate fully. But for, if he was staying in the position, I would not do that, but he is, he's moved on. And they appreciated when he was there, but he's moved on. So I am going to participate in Interfaith Council. I know that last year we had looked at certain organizations that ask, well, I can't necessarily say it works this year, that, and Joanna, I'm going to look at you because there are certain organizations that our funding is part of their overall operating budget. And without our funding, it would make it very difficult for them to operate. And
Right.
Interfaith Council and Food Pantry, of rental assistance, et cetera, what they do, it falls into that category. Last year, Fairwinds, we also looked that it was over $1 amount, and we said, let's look at those first. So maybe what we could do is, look,
Can I make a suggestion?
yes,
So I think that we could do this in a couple of different ways, but because we've used the rubric and these have scores, I think we should look at the lowest scores and see if we're going to eliminate anybody. And then I think we should look at the highest scores and discuss those. And then I think we should come back to the ones that go in that middle range and tackle them one by one.
okay,
Or my preference was to go ahead and give the money to South Coast Legal. The small ones that we know, we see them all the time, which is South Coast Legal.
So
Um,
I understand that, but in order to do this, who's moving around the screen?
Me, I just wanted
Jericho.
pull up the historical so we can
Okay,
compare.
so what would be really helpful next, next to the total of the rubrics, Jericho, if you put the amount of money that each organization requested,
Okay,
yeah, I
and
just
then
wrote those
another-
down.
right? And then another column next to it where it's proposed, like our recommendation, so that we can have a running tally as
a
we go.
tally.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like if we do H and their request.
just some copy and paste stuff.
You want me to
Yep.
read you what the totals are? I've got everything on one sheet here at home.
I think we can copy paste straight down the line. If we do them alphabetic.
Jericho, I cannot hear you.
He's copying and
We
pasting.
can copy paste from the other form, so we should be good.
All right, because I've got them both on the same page here at home.
The other thing I can do, and I will do in another tab once you guys are started on this, is I can sort by score.
Oh, great. Gotta love
Oh,
Excel.
Okay,
Who's going first?
Oh,
okay. While we're waiting for that, so we've got a couple of different approaches. So looking,
I just need to indicate, I will recuse myself on the Athenaeum because my wife is a trustee of the Athenaeum, even though her assignment is buildings and grounds.
Okay.
And this is not buildings and grounds.
and I'm obviously
Right.
out of the warming place.
okay. All right, so different approaches. So Joanna, can you just repeat what you had suggested?
So I'm suggesting that we look at the low scores and see if we want to eliminate anybody. And then we can look at the high scores and propose some amounts and then go back and tackle the middle scores. But I don't mind Linda's suggestion of going through the ones that we know we're going to score and putting in the amount so that we have the tally so we know how much we have left.
Okay. All
I
right,
just think
so-
it's going to be that we have to agree on what those are.
Right. So South Coast Legal is the one that I think everyone has been shaking their heads at. And South Coast Legal has asked for $5,000.
I think that's fine.
And
I think that's good.
do we have agreement on that? Yes. Right,
Sure.
so we've got 5,000 on South Coast Legal.
Isn't the other one that we often, Martha's Vineyard
Martha's-
Community
yes.
Services?
It's Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. So,
And they're at 19,006.
yeah, and we
I'm
gave
okay
them,
with that.
what did we give them last year?
Let's see.
We gave them full last year, I remember, and last
We
year.
gave them, they only asked for 5,000 last year.
Oh, no,
Oh,
Martha, no,
wait a minute, that's South Coast. Martha's Vineyard gave them
19,805.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's just,
It's level. Okay,
yep, level.
I'm
That's
okay
fine.
with that one.
me too.
All right, so I'm gonna put, just for everyone's sake, this is the request here. Just copy I got it up there. Just copy the actual column itself as opposed to multiple columns.
Okay.
So these are the requests for FY26. I have just adjusted. Of course, the thing is always where I don't need it.
Dreamland has to be
Drop down to
adjusted
80, yeah.
85.
Is 85?
I thought it was 85.
I printed that one.
Yeah, they can.
Hmm.
And then, so this first column is going to be request.
Well, let's fix there are a couple of them. Let's fix the Dreamland first.
It's sorted.
Yeah, it is. It's 85 now up there,
Nope, I changed.
boys and girls. They have to be flipped.
What did the boys and girls do? Oh, yeah,
Boys and
wrong one.
girls,
You put it in the
150.
wrong place.
Ah,
No. You got them all
Boys and
wrong.
girls is 150.
Got them all off one line.
It's odd doing it on the laptop.
Oh, Lighthouse School is out of order in this one.
Oh, that's why. They're all off one. Okay, let's just do it manually.
Okay.
Go
Okay.
ahead and
In the meantime, I think we can continue with ones, if there's any that we just agree. So we have South Coast Legal asked for 5,000 and our agreement is 5,000. Martha's
Correct.
Vineyard Community Services had asked for 19,600 and 19,600 is,
That's the wrong cell.
No, if you make a mistake, this gets totally screwed.
this is requests. This is
Yep.
gonna be our proposal.
right, but they're
Right,
good.
But you're wrong on some of these.
Yes.
What
Martha's
was-
Vineyard is not $120,000. It's off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you're
going- so
completely
hold up,
off.
Hold up, we're going through and correcting those. I'm just doing the request now. Alexandria is doing the manual data entry.
Got it.
Okay, so
but your
we can't
request
necessarily
line
look
is
at those
wrong.
numbers until they're corrected. Yeah.
That's
The
fine.
whole thing
I
is wrong.
follow you. Yeah.
All right. Are there any other from
No.
our list that are what we would
Elder
consider
services, elder services.
elder services? Services asked for 30,600.
What did they get last year? Where is it? Elder services got 26.6 last year.
And 30% was their estimated food and operational cost
Right.
increase.
Costs,
This is
yeah.
Basically cost of live, like
Right.
inflation adjustment.
So I'd be okay with
Um,
that figure that they're asking
okay.
for.
A question, should we be voting on each one of these?
No,
at
no,
this
no,
point?
No,
no.
And
not
then
until
we'll
the
just
end.
vote at
No,
the
not
end.
till the end.
Okay,
Yeah.
so elder services, 30,600.
Yep. What's the other one? Well, Safe Place, we always fund. And we gave them, they only asked for 30 last year.
They've doubled it. I would like to
Yeah.
discuss this. I think that this has to be discussed in the context of the others.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree also. I agree they do fabulous work, but when we start getting into these higher numbers, we may
Yeah.
have to have consideration.
Right.
What about the STAR program at 31,625?
Um,
I think that's up for discussion.
I think that's also up for discussion. And this is no reflection on
Yeah.
these individual programs. It's just, we have 1,200,000 in request and we only have 650,000. So this is where the hard decisions are going to come in.
Yeah.
We need to
Other
make that
one-
point to the town even more strongly because this is a large amount of money people are asking for this year.
Yes,
I think we need to have that conversation too, but I think at the end of this meeting.
exactly.
So, okay, why don't we look at the low numbers? Now that we've agreed on these three, but what is that total, right? Like, can we sum that under, yep, so that we know?
Give me a half second to think about the best way to do that.
Well, the lines on the right are still wrong.
Yeah, we're working on that, Linda. We'll have that sorted.
Well, just clarify for me, I know the Dreamland dropped to 85,000. There was another one that changed their figure. What was that?
I think Dreamland is the only one that changed.
Correct.
Okay, I thought somebody else sort of dropped something. Oh, I've got a priority list from one of them.
That's
Yes.
right.
Fairwind Center
Fairwind Center
priority.
priority.
Yep, I got that.
We'll have to edit that out.
Apologize to the viewing public. There was that a coffee error?
That was coffee in the computer.
Our president used some foul language yesterday in his press conference, so I assume that,
Oh, what a surprise.
Well, if the
Yes.
president can do it,
Yeah.
Jericho certainly can.
okay. But I would have you put a quarter into a jar.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Alrighty, so back to here. I'm sorry, we had a little accident. So I'm sorry, I got distracted. Where were we?
Just getting rid of some of the ones that we know we're gonna fund
Right,
fully.
we're
and
looking
I
at
think
the
we
low
got 'em.
numbers here. So if we look at down the list of the tallies, we have Dreamland. I'm looking at 10 and below. So we have Dreamland and Boys and Girls, well, Dreamland. And then,
I would look at 12 and below.
okay,
We got a
So
couple
we
of,
have
thir-
the
we got a couple of
Athenaeum.
13. We got 3 at 13.
Yeah. Let's just go to the lowest and talk, let's just move up the thing until we get to a place where we want to change. So, all right,
Okay.
let's just talk about the 10.
okay, and that's
Yeah.
Dreamland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so basically Dreamland and Nantucket Lighthouse School, I thought was redundant, right? I thought they should be partnering in these efforts. And I think that, I would be comfortable giving them each some money, but not nearly what they requested.
Yeah.
There is
Maybe-
redundancy in a way that they want to bring in speakers. Dreamland also was going to be doing some theater experiences with what they're asking for.
Yeah.
So they're similar in bringing speakers in. If I look at Lighthouse School, I think that they do fabulous thing by bringing people over. I'd like to fund some, but there's no way that we can fund their entire program. Dreamland, the same thing, bringing speakers in. And then the other one that I would want to put in there is the Athenaeum with sort of their film series. So I classified those three together. So if we
Yeah.
look at those three programs, not just Dreamland and Lighthouse School. Sue, you had your hand up.
My concern when I was looking at the Dreamland was that it's a theater program that they're trying to put a human service aspect into, which
Yeah.
I applaud, but like when I looked at some of the partner agencies that they discussed, I mean, one of them was the description, they named the agency and the description of it was 100% incorrect, false. So that was like a turnoff that I had a hard time getting past. And it felt like mission creep, like do theater for theater. And this other messaging stuff is awesome, but I don't know, do we need to be supporting human service agencies for doing human services work first?
Right,
Was where I landed.
right. Yes.
Can you see my hand up, by the way, if I put it up on the screen?
I was just passing that along.
Okay,
Okay,
Linda?
I didn't know if you could see it. I agree thoroughly with Susan. My problem with these three is that I would rather concentrate on direct services, human services, than this kind of thing, because we have so little money to give out and so many asks. I'd just as soon not fund any of them at the moment and concentrate on the direct services that have that biggest bang for the buck kind of thing.
Yeah,
I-
I hesitate just because I do prevention is important.
Exactly, but direct services are
Also.
also important and maybe even more important. Rather than not funding, I would at least like to start out that we reduce their funding and see if that could work. you know,
I don't
the
know,
Athenaeum.
I gotta finish my I wasn't sure where I was going with this. I'm
Okay.
gonna say that we're gonna have a hard time justifying giving any money to these three when the rest of them are in such need, because obviously now human services from the feds anyway are gonna get cut drastically if they exist at all now, given what's happened over the last 2 weeks. So I'm concerned about trying to justify giving these three entities money for speakers when we have actual issues with human services here, especially with the expansion of the warming place, et cetera, et cetera. So
Just-
I'm not voting in favor of giving these three. Not that I'm not thrilled that they have these programs. I cannot vote in favor of any of the three at this time.
So,
Okay.
just to clarify briefly, we're talking Athenaeum, Dreamland, and Lighthouse, yes?
Lighthouse
Yes.
School.
Yes.
Okay, so for the time.
So let's just hold them aside, right? Let's not give them any money until we fully talk through the rest of them.
Okay.
Okay, for just placekeepers, could we put a 0 on there so we
Yep.
can, and it doesn't mean that's what it's ultimately going to be, but at least at this point,
It'll help with the math.
right.
You don't have to put them in red, by the way. That's really hard to read.
No, I was, it's also a little more stronger than I wanted for color.
Maybe some shade of,
Go, let's go like a, there we go. Is that
That's,
editable?
that's better.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
That
Alrighty,
won't print
so-
well, let me tell you. If you try to do that, that will print black. If
Oh,
you
yeah,
try
no,
to
we're
print
not
them in
printing-
home.
Yeah.
This doesn't get printed until a lot of things get fixed up.
Yeah.
Just as a run, we have a running total set up here. 55.2 is where we're at with our commitment so far. I now have 0, 0, and 0 in for Lighthouse School.
Okay,
So-
let's talk,
right,
let's talk.
Athenaeum.
I think we have to go to the Boys and Girls Club next.
Yeah. And that's an 11 total.
Yeah.
Who would like to start?
I'll
I
start.
will.
All right,
Or Joanne can start.
Joanna?
This is a capital request. And while I love the Boys and Girls Club, right? Love it. Both my kids went there all the time. I don't feel like it's a good fit for this grant. And they don't have the enrollment in their preschool yet to justify the grant anyway, right? So I think that I was disappointed, really, that they didn't come to us to support programs and services, right? Because of course they would be a good grant to consider. But
Yeah.
for a redo or a renovation, I just don't think it's the right place.
I think I agree 100%
Yeah.
with that.
I think I agree also. Even though I've had 8 kids in that thing and I've coached
Mhm.
over there for years.
Yeah.
I adore the Boys and Girls Club. We'd be lost on this island without the 500
them.
kids going there. But I can't justify this year giving them money for that as much
No.
as I want to.
No, and also I will say this, they're excellent fundraisers. Right? They do a great job of raising money.
Yeah.
I mean, we turned away Habitat for,
For the same thing.
for kind of capital stuff, connections and
Infrastructure.
it's not a service. It's not, I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So
Jericho?
for Habitat, the justification was that it was for private dwelling.
Right.
Yeah.
There is no explicit restriction against capital expenses as part of this. I think I'm noting that down as something that we should work into the guidelines ahead for next year. I do think that Joanna, your larger point is dead on. I just wanted to point out that we need to if we want to not get capital requests, we need to explicitly limit it in some way or another. That's all. John
Okay.
did have his hand. up,
John?
sorry.
In general, in terms of this discussion, it seems to me, at least my focus is, and I'll just pick for a minute, not that is where my going. Places like a safe place, there is no replacement for them. There is no, what they do is maybe supported, but they are a point of first contact. And it seems to me that in terms of where we should be putting our emphasis are other of these applicants come close to that, but I picked that as the one is where it's the kind of the most immediate and the most,
Critical,
what should I say?
critical.
You can't change
Critical.
it. You can't change it by philosophy. It happens.
No.
And it's got to be responded to if we want to do something. Again, if I then grade some of these others on that kind of importance, at least that's where I start. Then I get to these other things because I absolutely agree that the best ones for prevention are important for us to be promoting, but I don't see them promoting them at the level that they think we should be doing. They have to come to the table with more than some of the other people can come to the table with. That's just my kind of a general philosophy.
Okay,
I agree with John. And maybe we put a
Agreed.
0 in Boys and Girls Club for now.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yep.
If we had all the money in the world, I'm sure we'd love to fund, I mean, bleeding heart liberals, most of us from the 60s, but I'd love to fund everybody.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. This is where the hard decisions come in, but if their application was with programming,
right.
and we saw that with the youth behavioral health, that they brought in new programs and expanded, but this is a renovation of their building.
For
It's
a-
capital.
For a program that isn't filled yet.
Right.
Yeah, isn't there
Right.
yet. I mean, next year, maybe if they come back and we've got something to talk about, that'd be different.
Okay. So let's go down the list to
I think sharing kindness.
it's
Can't go there.
NAMI or sharing kindness. Let's look at,
Sharing-
Either one of them.
we'll look at
Sharing
NAMI
kindness.
first.
Sharing
Well,
kindness. I think I
Sharing
think
kindness.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. The issue I really had there, while I appreciate it, I think grief support is very important as well. They haven't fully come to Nantucket yet,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, they'd have 0 representation on their board from Nantucket.
Yep.
So, and if you can join their groups via Zoom, I mean, until they get a little bit more of a foothold and have a little bit more of awareness here, I'm not sure we're getting a lot of bang for our buck.
I agree
But to
totally. I'd love
counter,
to. Yeah.
yeah, to counter that though is if they don't get a foothold, if they don't have a start, how are they going to get a foothold? And what they're asking for is a unique, it's not covered by anyone on the island. We know that PASCON does grief services, but it's a different form of grief. I'm not sure if I'm using the appropriate terms on that. So even though I know that it's an off-island organization, we see what they're doing off-island, and we would love to have that here. And if we don't give them a place to start, how are they gonna come?
And I do
So
appreciate
this is like
that
seed money? This is
they've
like
got
seed money
Amanda
then?
here. Like they
They
did
do
train
have-
Amanda, someone on island is their employee that will be here. I think they've invested a little bit.
And I know that the lack of board representation is because according to the question we asked during the interview was because they hadn't had an opening, that the terms had not lined up as of yet. Just personally, from a health and human service point of view, we've worked with them as a vendor quite a bit. They've sent people on a regular basis. They have sort of self-motivated to get connections in through a variety of different service providers already. And I am 100% certain that they will have a Nantucket person on their board as soon as possible, quite possibly Amanda.
Yeah.
So we're
Um,
looking at this sort of like support from us, sort of a seed money that, yes, we are going to be invested in this program. So I'm not as adverse to it as I was originally.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, I could get behind that as well. I mean, I'm not sure I can get behind uh the full amount, but maybe 5,000.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the amounts yet, but I think they have a valid pitch.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely think it's valid. That's not where I
Yeah.
was going.
Okay.
Propose for 5K then?
For the
Uh,
time
Sure,
being,
why
but
not?
I,
Yeah.
We're just
Okay.
doing it.
just as a placeholder, but I do feel strongly that we need to support them.
Yeah,
Okay, so what's our next? We have
By numbers.
NAMI.
it would-
NAMI,
Yeah, NAMI.
or Lighthouse School we've done. So NAMI is at 11.6.
That's
I have a
it.
problem with this.
Go ahead, Linda. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, they asked for 175 last year. I don't know what we actually ended up giving them. Is that what we ended up giving them? No,
No.
175. We gave them 85,000 last year.
Yep.
Yes,
I can't go any higher than that. I just can't.
Their
Yeah.
proposal on FY25 included elements of their youth program that they had proposed during the youth behavioral health grant.
Yeah.
This one does not include that. And is primarily the independent therapist, and then there was a chunk for outreach, education, and advocacy.
right.
Are they getting any funding from the parent company, the parent organization? Because
Yeah.
NAMI's all over the country.
There have been like funding has been. I know that they have been spending money on programming in association with ASAP. I can't tell you more, like if that is money that was collected on Cape and Islands or if that was money that was collected like from the parent organization. But I know that they've been investing their own money into some partnership programs with ASAP.
And ASAP now is officially NAMI, although
Sort of.
ASAP applied separately for one of their youth programs. So even though it says ASAP, it's ASAP NAMI. So this, I think, is primarily what we're looking at is for the subsidies for therapists.
Right, and just to go backwards, when I was part of NAMI and part of ASAP, I was told by Cape Cod NAMI that National does not give funds to the regional
Chapters?
to the chapters, that they provide the curriculums, the information that run some of their educational, psychoeducational groups, but they don't hand out money.
Okay.
Interesting.
Each chapter.
Because United Way does give money out to various organizations like Big Brothers Big Sisters, et cetera, et cetera. Because I worked with them a while back.
Right.
I'm just I'm having trouble with this amount.
Yeah, because their ask is 120.
Yeah.
We gave 85 last year. Just in my rough tally, I put down 75 because I do think what they're doing is important, but not, we can't possibly, unless
Yeah.
unless we've eliminated a whole lot more, we have to lower the 85. Jericho?
And I know last year there were some concerns about how the insurance and disbursement status for the subsidies went. And I know that Jackie posted, or Jackie sent along information specifically about it and I know that it was a cap of 2,000 per person
Right.
per month. Sorry, the maximum you could claim over a particular period was 2,000, and that it is usually claimed in smaller increments of that. They're not claiming the full amount of reimbursement, just a portion of it to get more people through.
Right. And I know Joanna, in our interview, I think you were trying to get, is there a standard reimbursement amount per person? And
Right.
it sounds like it's a much more fluid program, and not knowing enough about billing, I don't know if that's the way it has to be or just the way that it develops. It's developed. Do you know anything?
My impression is that, you know, the people that are coming are uninsured or underinsured. And so I feel like the therapists are kind of doing a sliding scale. So if they think somebody could afford a $50 payment, then they would apply.
But I don't know, but I think, I'm not sure how how you qualify for the program. Right?
Yeah.
I think
I
that
don't think we've ever had that, have we?
Right.
Have we ever gotten any information as to how you qualify? No.
So to my knowledge from discussions with Jackie, how it works is the therapist comes to NAMI for it. So it's an internal process. I don't
boy.
think that there's a explicit eligibility requirement. That is something we could work on in terms of the reporting, should we decide to fund this. And we could also ask for a more granular breakdown of policy and procedure for it.
what I think is happening is that if you're a therapist and you're seeing someone who can't afford therapy, you can go to NAMI and say, well, I have, 10 people who can't afford my full rate. Can I take advantage of your program? And I'm
Wow.
not exactly sure that that's the best use of our money.
Right. That is a big concern because how do we know whether they can or can't afford it? What is the criteria? I mean, is it
Well, I
just
think
money just
I-
going out the door kind of
Well,
thing?
I think it's a conflict of interest for the therapist who gets the money to determine whether or not the person can afford the service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about it coming in from the backside, but now that we think about it, that is an issue. I mean, where's the control here?
Yeah. I think their step for control was by putting $2,000
Yeah.
cap.
But still, if you're a therapist and what it does is what it does for the therapist is it allows them to take people who can pay less money. And I understand that that's a benefit. But unless the program is standardized where there is some sort of application of fairness put across the people who are getting the subsidy, it's kind of willy-nilly.
Well, I think the control is if it's taken, like the control is that it can only go so far.
Well, $2,000 a month is $24,000 a year. So that means that we are subsidizing therapists to the tune of up to $24,000 a year.
And that's
So
just
it-
one person. That's just one person, though. How
Person.
many? Harris going to have 10 people with that a
Right,
month?
but the question,
You know,
and also do they pay taxes on this money? Like, how do they receive the money in? It's income.
it would be, I'm assuming under a 1099, like a 1099 relationship with NAMI,
Right.
because they would technically be subcontractors.
Right.
And then NAMI would still have to account for the tax footprint of that. So they would need to be.
But they're a nonprofit, so they don't pay any taxes. I'm just trying to think this through.
Payroll.
I mean, it's not to say that this doesn't have a benefit in the community, right? It is allowing people to go to therapy who need it. It's the screening process of who gets chosen and how they get chosen, and how equitably that benefit is distributed.
I have.
I mean, we're almost depending on the
Therapist.
very important ethical standards of the therapists,
Right.
which is serious. They're licensed and
I mean, we do
are
that.
held to a standard.
Yeah, I mean, we do that. That is like, we assume good faith in our partners, because to do otherwise
Is-
is.
Right. So basically, so here's my notes from this is there's 8 therapists. They're all on Nantucket. 3/4 of these services are delivered in person, and there's the 2,000 cap. The average reimbursement is $125.
That's the max. 125 is the max per client.
Right. but that means like what percent, I mean, maybe there just needs to be some more controls on this.
More accountability, more documentation. We've never really looked at this in that granular a way. But it's a good point. Who, what, where, how? NAMI, I'm not saying NAMI's doing anything wrong.
No, 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 no. And I'm not saying the
But
therapists
no.
are either. It's about a good way to deploy the money.
Yeah. And accountability for that money.
Right.
You want to come back to
Because-
this one?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we asked a question of Jackie is there more need? Is she getting more requests than the money that she has? And I don't know if we asked her that question because what, that without
Well,
the
did they
control was the $2,000 a month per therapist.
Well, and I think they have to be they have to be uninsured. Let me, so I have an email from Jackie somewhere in my inbox that discusses this, that came up before last year's discussion of this. I think we should
Table it for right, just a moment.
Yeah, I'd like to come back to it.
Okay.
In the
So
herd.
After NAMI, we would go up to
Sherburne?
In the herd.
we have
In the herd and
Artists
Sherburne.
Association,
Mm.
Artist Association in the herd,
And Sherburne.
Sherburne.
Okay.
Could we talk about Sherburne? That's,
Sure.
I think that's a little bit, it's a,
Tough one.
I think, they've reinvented themselves. They're bringing services. They're bringing services to our island home. And they're doing it at Sherburne Commons, so they're getting maybe some of the residents there participating. Their original mission was to be offering respite and a memory cafe experience for individuals living in their private homes. So I applaud them for evolving. I think it's a great thing they're doing, but again, it's this is not a reflection of our island home. I think it's a fabulous place, but they also have their services that they provide. So this is an enhancement for the people that are at an island home. So although I love what they're doing, I think that after the third year now, their ultimate numbers, although the numbers look like they're increasing, it's increased because they've expanded who they're offering it to. And it's not what the original purpose of this. So
Well, I add to that, I agree with you totally with what you're saying, Virginia, but to me, it's also, it doesn't have urgency for me. It's important, it's an enhancement, but it isn't fundamental. And it seems to me we have so many fundamental requirements that this is not one that I can support in comparison to the other needs. This one is one that kind of falls further down the line.
I don't want to compare it to elder services that are providing Meals on Wheels. And then it's sort of Meals on
Mhm.
Wheels, you need to live.
Right.
This is an enhancement.
I mean,
So we have a hand up from Linda.
Linda?
Having been on on the COA and we sort of championed this program, they asked for about this amount last year and we gave them 17,000 and change both years and those 2 years in a row. I am pleased that they have expanded their offerings, that they have expanded the amount of people coming, that they're becoming more known, they're getting themselves out there more. it's taken 3 years to get to that point. I wouldn't be adverse to level funding them from the last 2 years, which is 17,160.
I think I could support that. I think I could support level funding, but the increase is very difficult for me.
Yeah.
I, because of my work at PassCon in the foundation end, but I hear a lot about the different needs, especially with dementia.
Yeah.
And what the community is struggling with is there's a bunch of different groups trying to do things for the population with cognitive impairments. And they're all getting little bits. You know, you get a couple people coming to this program and a different couple people going to that program. I would love to offer funding that says, can you all work together? Like, can we put that into the contract to like work with the other agencies so that maybe their power in attracting this audience and that little audience, that maybe they could like attract a meaningful audience for a shared program.
Can I ask what other organizations?
The NHA has been doing
Right,
a
they're
memory,
right, and they're going out, they're taking their exhibits and going out to
right.
Yeah.
Called On the Road.
on the road. Yep.
Oh, no, Mindful Memories is what I'm thinking of. It's a different,
Yeah.
it's a different program that the NHA is doing, and it's specific for,
Well, the
I know-
mindful memories is a little bit different. That
Different.
happens in
In
at
the
the
building.
NHA in the
yes,
building.
yes.
That's a little bit different, but they're bringing it out to the heritage, different locations.
So to my knowledge, it's Robert Kacharvi is doing On the Road, and they have regular dates at the Memory Cafe.
Oh,
I know that access for some of the people at NHA was difficult, but there is at least there is collaboration and communication between the two orgs on that. To my knowledge, we could not write into the contract that we can only make a contract with an organization. We can't make a contract that requires, like, we can evaluate the potential for a contract based on collaboration. We can't, as currently configured, require it. I do know there have been a few senior service provider discussions through CFN,
yeah.
and that you're right, we should have a kind of a needs and like a services assessment internally of what is dementia or cognitive impairment facing services. It does not at the moment exist, but unfortunately, a lot of the senior stuff ended up pivoting towards the greater emergent need, which was travel concerns.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, because we know that as the population ages and we're living so much longer, dementia becomes a bigger player. And so I don't want to,
Zero funded, but
Right.
maybe, and they
Can we
have.
level fund it?
I think it's suggestions we've made. They've taken those. John has his hand up, so.
I just want to make an observation. I've had personal contact in various ways with Robert Kacharvi. He is a very active and thoughtful person, and he has his background was, I've forgotten what it was, at the university.
Yeah,
At
academic.
Syracuse University. It was, I can't remember whether it was public, somewhere in the public, but he is a go out and do it and get out and talk to you in your face a bit, but in a good way. I just say that they've got somebody there who is worth giving some support to. Just because when he gets himself committed to something, he gets himself committed.
Okay, he makes it happen.
As
He
a-
makes it happen.
As a proposal then, 17600.
That would
So-
be
Yeah, wait a minute, it was 17. Where is it?
17,160.
60. 17,160.
Yeah,
But just to back up what he just said, Bob is on the Council on Aging with me. And one of the things that he does is every month he gives us a report on what's happening with the elder services at the NHA. And it's always something going on. He's really committed, and they're very active in the elderly community about getting the NHA out to the masses.
okay. So we have them at 17,160, which is level with last year.
Next, in terms of scoring,
Is in the herd.
13 Mark II.
Is it in the herd next? Mm,
Oh, wait, we haven't, well, NAMI, we left. Okay, so we're at in the herd.
Right? Am I doing that correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
eh,
I mean,
I can't go there.
I can give you the summary of my side of their interacting with them, which is that they are one of the most motivated and committed groups doing anything that I have done since I took this position. They've been very good at data collection. They've been doing the pre-post testing. I have never had unsolicited in-person email and phone calls and communication of support from parents. I've had people like actually like stop, like I was doing unrelated stuff and people stopped me and told me like how much their children benefited from this. I don't know that it's the 121K level of benefit. As I remember, there were 32 unique, I think it was 32 unique students for multiple trips. They did manage to keep them going through the spring. Probably they would have had more people if it wasn't for the slow startup. And I know that they probably will enroll more now than they did in the first year. I think this is a very difficult one because attempts to get it on island have run into insurance questions primarily. There are people willing to participate in this here. It's just a question of, it's like a $250,000 initial policy to get this kind of coverage. I've been working with the local component of this to see if there's a relationship they could work out with a conservation agent or something, like a conservation organization, CFN or something like that. And it's just that is a very big lift, that the insurance question.
Right. Even though our tally sheet shows that they weren't awarded in 25, weren't awarded from the Health and Human Services grant, but they did get, I believe it was 60,000 from Youth Behavioral Health. So she has functioned with the 60,000, and that was in the first year of startup, where I know that there were obstacles, et cetera, and I feel like she's now has some traction. I look and it's, if we had endless money, I would say 121 is great, but we can't do that. I would suggest that, and we may not be able to do 60, but maybe if we give her 40,000 just to keep it going until maybe we have more money.
My thought on this is that if one, and this is a administrator's, like an empirical question, is that if she ran on 60K for the first contract, and she used the entire duration of that contract. If we level funded and we saw an increase or decrease in the number of people, that would give us as close to an experiment about what the funding to numbers relationship could be in that.
Mm-hmm.
So if she did more unique or more total trips, or if there was a greater change in the self-reporting from the students, then we would know kind of what the relationship between performance for the organization is and the amount of funding. That's just,
I have my hand up. I've got to run to take Evan. I got to just make a comment on this before I have to take him to work. What did we give them last year? I don't have anything on here.
so
Right.
they were
60.
not funded, they were not funded through the CRC last year. They actually extended and got the full length of time out of their youth behavioral health grant.
Right.
That's what I thought.
So
And
that
it was 60, it was 60,000, roughly
and
60,000.
I'll confirm that.
Yeah.
All right, now
Uh,
here's my thing about this one. You know, I was very skeptical on how this was going to work last year because I've been involved with horses my whole life and difficulty getting anything going here. How many kids are actually going to get over the anxiety to get on the boat and go? And when she made the presentation this year, I was so impressed with just how this has evolved in 1 year's time and how much participation's going on here and how many people are taking the option to do this, that I just as soon fund her this year. But you're right, 121,000, we don't have it. But if somebody threw out the number of 60,000, I could go there. I'm going to take him to work and come right back.
Okay. So can we say for
agree.
a placeholder now? 60,
I
Juana?
like 62. I like 60,000 too.
Okay. So let's put 60 as our placeholder.
And then I believe we can take a 5.
Take 5-minute break.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna mute us here, but otherwise leave this going.
Okay.
We'll do a 5 to 7 minute break,
All right.
heavy on the 5.
Thank you.
Do you want to run and grab your charger?
Do without it. No, I don't, this battery is very,
Yeah, you just had it fully charged.
yeah, cause I leave it. It's dead.
I mean, I think the only other numbers we're gonna get all back on.
Yeah.
The rest of them is good. So what I'll do is at the end of this, I'll save this.
That's all right. Look, we can't, no, they started, I don't feel, I don't feel slighted. Look, we got to deal with the mechanics as they are. But it's much better that you're facing that way. No, I mean, for the Zoom participants. Oh,
I just, I bought like, I poured like half my coffee. We're not completely new. 37,360 with these guys as zeroed. Our next topic, based on the count up method, which I'm liking, is, well, that didn't help.
Isn't it Artist Association?
Should be, yes. 13.4, Artist Association with a 50K request.
I'll just start with my frustrations that they don't invest in this program. It's not on their website. The town logo isn't on their website. Like, I don't. It's a great program, but I feel like it does more for them than it does for anybody.
I know that their numbers were way up.
I'm
last
back.
month,
Good.
and they anticipate, the numbers to stay up. And it's no longer the program that it was originally, so it's now wellness to the arts.
Can't
Um,
hear her at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm back on, sorry. What I
All
was
right, where are
saying,
we?
it's not the original program. They've changed, now
Which
calling
one?
wellness
Artist Association.
Artist Association.
Oh, okay. So we left off at 60 for the herd and now we're on the Artists Association.
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
yes. I know that they say that they're getting their recommendations from organizations, but then there were 4 applications just for scholarships. And I guess, I think what's happening is it's a wonderful program. People are participating and they're getting a discount rate to participate. But again, I don't think we could fully fund them. I would like to give them something, but then what is that something?
Last
We-
year it was,
Sure.
actually, we can't, I don't understand last year. It was 40,000 requests. We gave them 55,000. It was
Now-
24,000 before that.
I think those are,
That can't be.
That's gotta be a typo.
Yeah. We gave them 24,000. They asked for 24 in FY 24. We gave them 20. FY 23 was 2320, and we gave them the 200.
I bet those numbers are reversed, Jericho.
that's my suspicion
Yeah.
too. I'll double check that in another tab.
I would like to say something.
Yes.
I think that this is largely a scholarship program, right? So we're underwriting the costs of really anybody in the community who wants to attend these classes, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing from a health and human service perspective. This is, like, as we know, a tried and true methodology for reducing stress and enhancing well-being. I think all of that is great, but it's not art therapy, which is what it originally started as. And I wish that they would just ask for it as what it is. Like, you guys, we're asking you to underwrite or to provide money for a scholarship.
And I think that's an excellent point. The program originally was treatment, and
Art
specifically
therapy.
therapy. Now it has transitioned into a preventative measure, prevention or postvention, which run into the same thing. I think they have largely told us that that's what they're doing, or they're starting to. And I think that they are also amenable to adjusting the program. We've already seen them do that for us. And I think that you're right, Joanna. If this was like, there is a human service benefit, there's a behavioral health community level benefit to subsidizing art education, especially for those that are identified as being either at risk or any other set of circumstances. And I think we can talk to them. My suspicion is why they didn't just pull that Band-Aid off this year is baby steps. Like I think that they're worried that we wouldn't be amenable to a general like art fund. And I think that if we communicate with them about what we view it to them, they will adjust the program. So like not this year, I doubt, but for next application, I'm pretty sure.
But will
Alright.
they apply for grants for art like, I just don't understand why they don't they put a pitiful amount in their own investment,
Well-
and it's a bummer.
I don't know if that's exactly right. Right? I mean, obviously they're running these classes and they're paying the teachers to run the classes. And what we're doing is backfilling the classes with subsidized students. So,
In their budget for the program, it says if there's a teacher's budget, I think.
I will pull that from the budget.
Yeah.
right, but
Point of
so-
order, we awarded 40K on a 40K requested last year.
okay.
Okay.
So Sue, I get what you're saying. And by the way, I 100% think if we give them any money, we need to require them to put the town's logo and say that this is underwritten by the town.
Right?
I think all these people should be doing that. But as a person who gets grants for, or underwriting, whatever we're gonna call it, for scholarship programs, the way that it's done is that if there's so say an art class costs $50, right? And you have a grant to cover up to half of the class, or even if you have a grant to cover up to 100% of the class, that's how that's administered. And I'm not sure we're comparing apples to apples, right? Like if somebody comes into one of our, and we mostly do this for kids, but if somebody comes into one of our programs, like a kid, and they have demonstrated the need for a scholarship and we underwrite it fully, when we give back the grant report, it shows that we underwrote a child fully, or it shows that we underwrote 5 children 50%, and then we get reimbursed for that amount of money. That's not how this is being administered. Right? So to your point, Jericho, or whoever said it about them putting in money for their teachers' salaries, that's not how this should be doing. We should be reimbursing them for the cost of the class, right? Per the people who signed up on it and who received this benefit. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I just think that makes much more sense.
Okay, Linda, your hand is up.
Dorothy and I were the ones, I'm not sure any of you were on back then. Dorothy and I were the ones that championed this and met with them a few times out at there as how this was going to work, who was going to benefit from this program. And we have been supporting it since they started it. And I agree that it has morphed into much more popularity. And there are more people taking advantage of it that may need assistance. But to go back to something Joanna said about giving credit where credit is due, the CPC, another town agency here, we require that all of their publications say funded by CPC. We also require several of these places, which are, hard places like churches, et cetera, that they put up a little plaque. We have a template, put up a little plaque saying funded by the CPC.
Okay.
So I think it's not atypical for us to require some of these things, like the Artists Association in particular, and HERD and some of these other ones that they say partially funded or supported by the town or contract review or however they want to word it. So I don't think that's outrageous to ask that of all of these things. But I think we need to continue to support this, though not at the 50,000. I can think we continue to support this. I don't know what amount everybody's comfortable with, but I don't think we should zero them out.
No, I
Given
don't think
art
that.
is great.
No, I don't think
No.
anybody's zero.
So, two points. My policy in terms of the logo and branding has been If the agency believes that branding with the town will benefit attendance or the program in some way, they are welcome to use it. I have not, and if they believe that adding the town seal to it or adding town branding would disincentivize people coming to it, I don't require it. If you guys would like for us to come up with a standard branding component to this, I have absolutely no problem with that. Just for me, and this has been less for the CRC programs than it has been for other grant funding I've been distributing that has been targeted at people who might be disincentivized if there is town participation. So that's been my policy on that, has just been whichever works best for the program.
But I do think that you can write that into their contract that,
I don't even think we'll need to write it into the contract. I think it'll
Well,
just be like,
Jericho, I think you do.
I do
Yeah.
too.
I think you do. I mean, I know again from the grants that I get, and some of them are very sophisticated grants. There is almost an entire page that is dedicated to exactly how you have to list the organization, where it needs to appear, et cetera, et cetera.
I think that it's the right thing to do. This is taxpayers' dollars that are supporting these programs. And
I agree.
as people become more aware, I think that they should know that the town is supporting these. It's your money that supports this program. And if someone has an issue with that, then they can come and take it up.
Oh.
But I think it's good public relations
Yes.
for the town.
so
Yeah.
I have zero trouble with that. When we are closer to writing the agreements, I'd like to pick your guys' brains on how you want that implemented.
Okay.
I know that it would be a relatively easy lift for any of the agencies we fund to identify the town as a funding source in outgoing communications about the program. I don't know that like requiring like a part of their webpage, like they should, if there's any advertising around the program, the general outline I'm thinking is if there is advertising for the program, it must include the contract review committee and the town seal as identified as sponsors for it. As I'll just take that as a general one, and then I'll get some more specifics from you when we're closer to agreement writing.
Okay. All right. Can we come up with a suggestion for Artist Association? Their ask was 50.
30.
30, I
We have
agree.
30. Anyone? We put 30 down?
It's all right with me.
Okay.
So that would make it a 10K reduction from the previous year.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So moving on
We're
after
at
artist.
13.4, which I think puts us to 13.2. We're up to the
I see
Seven.
16,
Is there a 16 up there?
16.6.
We did 16.
16.6 and 16.8.
We talked about them already.
And then that means we're up to the 17s, 17.2, the Fairwinds request.
Okay,
You
70.
want to come back to that one?
Let's do star first.
Okay.
Yep,
17.4.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
I would motion to give Star the full amount.
So would I.
31,625.
It's supporting their summer programs.
Yep.
Expanding
And I
their
think they
summer
are,
programs.
yep, they are extremely deserving.
It's their first
Yep.
proposal to the
It's their
CRC.
first
Right, well,
time.
let's-
I think.
PRC, we
Yeah.
did
We did the-
10,000 for the skating program through the youth behavioral health, I think, last year.
They
No.
really do a fantastic job, guys. You got
Yeah.
I
just
agree.
stunning,
Okay.
a group of people there.
Our current total, just to keep us all apprised with what we have allocated now, we are at 198,985. So we're just
Okay.
under a third of the way through.
Okay.
Yep. Well,
All
we've
right,
got
just
the
out
big
of
one.
morbid curiosity, can you think we can just go to Safe Place and just give it to them and not worry about getting to 20?
I don't know.
I think that's the general tenor I'm getting here, is that that's going to need discussion. If we're at 17.2, then 17.4 Nantucket Star.
Some 19s.
Yeah, there's no
Uh,
18s, so that
no.
will go 19.4 Elder Services.
We did
We
those
did that.
already.
We did that.
19.8. We're holding till the end.
Which is why I'd
Money-
rather just go to safe place now.
All right, let's do safe place then. We'll come down from the top because I think the rest are discussions. Linda,
I
you're
just assumed
suggesting
the
fully
full amount.
funding?
Fully funding, right across.
I have a couple of concerns. I am not sure they're going to be I'm not sure they're going to be able to hire the necessary staff to expand the program.
Yeah, and that is what the request, the difference in the request, I
Yep,
think, is
Is the
primarily for,
staffing. Yeah,
yeah.
Yep. Because they went from 30 last year. They had
Yep.
70 the year before that, and we gave them the full 70 the year before that.
yeah.
Right.
This is my hesitation is fully in, based on the hiring environment on Nantucket, which is dismal. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to hire this necessary staff to expand the program.
But is it an expansion?
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure they answered the question of how many additional staff they needed to hire. I want to fund them. I would propose 50.
Mm. I'm not in favor of that, but that's just me.
So I
They will
know,
always make use of this money. They will always put it where they need to put it, and they will always put it where they told us they're going to put it. I'm not going to
So-
second guess them on this.
so so when we get our recommendations done, I can reach out to a safe place and ask them if they have candidates in mind, how likely they are, but that's just gonna be them self-reporting. That doesn't,
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'd like to know how many people they think they're going to hire and how is that going to play out, right? Because otherwise we're going to be in the position that we've been in with other people where because they have to spend the money on what they asked for. And
Yeah.
so
Right.
I don't want them to have leftover money.
But I can't second
I-
guess them either. I mean, if we're going to ask that question, we should have asked it at the hearing. But I'm not going to second guess their ability to do something. When they say they're going to do something, they do something. They don't come in here willy-nilly with pie in the sky. Maybe we'll get somebody, maybe we won't. That's not how Safe Place operates. That's not how they ever operated.
well, and I know parts of this have been for expanding cultural and linguistic
Yes.
specificity in their programs, and they
Yeah.
have just started advertising a variety of Brazilian language
Right.
health checkups.
Mm.
I think if we limit the funds, to my knowledge, in the last 5 years, they have never not fully expended a grant, and there has never been a question about whether or not they've used it for the restricted sources. I do agree with Joanna's concerns about them being able to hire, because that is not an easy position to hire for, and it is not an easy time to hire for those kinds of positions.
Mhm.
It's just unclear to me that they're hiring anyone new or if they're just,
Standing hours.
Expanding.
trying to get funding for an ongoing program.
If you go to page 9,
For their,
yeah,
And I
it's
can bring that up.
44,000 toward emergency and ongoing crisis service, 5,000 toward the Beacon project, and 16,250 toward enhanced culturally and linguistic specific services to underserved populations.
and
So-
the outline for the emergency and ongoing crisis services is trained advocates 24/7 as internally tracked, trained advocates at each scheduled district court. Each victim who receives, there's follow-up services with supportive counseling and trauma therapy. Then clients, the rest is just additional what's it called? Outcome.
Outreach.
So it doesn't look like they are explicitly asking for an additional employees. It looks as if they're either expanding the advocacy hours or compensation or increasing the licensure or the training and education.
Yeah. So I'd rather give them the full 66,000.
Joanna, regardless, I'm gonna reach out because I'm now curious if they're anticipating hiring additional people under this.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I mean,
I mean,
we
it's, I'm not gonna argue, it's $16,000, so it's not that big of a deal.
right.
It's not a sticking point for me.
Okay.
Okay, so for, at this point, let's put 66,000 there.
Yeah.
All right.
after 20 is either 20.6 or warming place at 20.
All right, let's
You
do the
got health
warming place.
imperatives. You got health imperatives at 19.4.
Yeah, we put those, that Fairwinds and
Interfaith.
Interfaith Council.
Interfaith aside to do
Yep.
towards the end.
So let's do
Okay.
warming place next. Right,
Gotcha.
all right.
Uh,
The quarterly, yeah.
You know, again, it's a necessary service that the island has not had. I like
I think
that,
this is, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Didn't mean to
I
interrupt.
like that they're doing fundraising, they're beefing up their organization, and this is going to bring them to the next step of having someone basically overseeing operations. 75,000. You know, I wrote down just in my tally, I put down 60, and I just picked a number because I said everyone was gonna have to maybe give a little bit, but you know, their numbers are steady and could even be increasing. So,
On the human services side, this is the only on-island resource I have for emergent housing needs.
yeah,
I think this is really important to fund.
All right, I will
Mm.
assume for 75 and we can tinker with it as we get towards the wire.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of 75.
Do you want us to propose another?
Well, I think Veronica said 60. I was headed towards 50. It's the first year they were on their own.
Fair.
Right,
And so, you know, and
and
it's staffing, basically.
the amount received of their portion of IFC's grant from last year was 30, so 60 marks a twofold increase.
Mhm.
Uh, shall we hold at 60 or drop to 50?
I think 60 is fine.
okay. 60. All right, we'll leave it at 60.
Next is gonna be 20 point. I think we are hitting the big ticket items.
Okay, let's do health
Yeah.
imperatives. Health imperatives next.
I love
back.
health imperatives.
Health imperatives. 125 represents a 10K increase over last year. In this previous year, they've expanded services to include additional health visits. And I know that their usage has increased.
What did they get last year? It's blank.
115. Oh, no,
No. Nothing.
the
They
request
did
was
get something last year.
No, they definitely got something. Give me 1 sec. That's the combined. They got 132. A total of 182
132?
across 2 grants.
Okay,
Hold on, one, how much for this one?
This
130.
request,
I got the
is-
request. They got what, 132 on this one? But it's blank.
Sorry?
no, the award for
yeah,
last year was,
it was 132.
so 132 goes into that under 25 award.
Yeah, I'm just gonna,
All right, so they're actually asking for less than what they actually got last year.
so that was.
But they're also asking for
down in the
25
other
in
area.
substance misuse,
Yeah. That's a whole different ballgame.
right?
Two, and then in the previous year, they were combined under a single contract, which is why I'm having to separate it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think of all the organizations in here,
Hmm.
they probably are the biggest bang for the buck of any organization in here because they have translators in there. They're doing so much work in so many different areas of health. Not to mention, the reproductive stuff and, just basic services for women's health that I can't cut them. They're cutting themselves from last year, but I can't cut them. I'm 125,000 for health imperatives. I'm telling you, they're just spread out all the way across the community.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm good with
Okay.
it.
Any differing?
For right now, let's leave it at 125.
Puts us
See
at
what the
449.
total effect is here.
450.
We're doing pretty good here, guys. We only have,
We are. We're doing very well. And also,
Yeah.
just about health imperatives, I mean, we do get a really good bang for our buck, and it does impact the community greatly.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, there's a significant portion of the island that is getting most of their primary health care through health imperative.
yeah.
Yep.
And they've
Maybe
got
screening.
Portuguese, they've got Spanish. I'm sure they're going to go to another language in their side at some point.
Okay.
That puts us next to
Interface.
2026, correct?
Yeah.
Interfaith, NAMI, and Fair Winds, and we've got 200,000 left, roughly.
Yeah.
Right, but we also have to go, NAMI is,
Athenaeum, Dreamland,
right,
boys and girls to be sorted.
okay.
Previous years for IFC,
It was the same amount, but they had the third organization.
yeah. And this request, so we awarded them 66 finally.
Right. Which was down from 24, where we awarded them 81
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
80 the year before.
there's something wrong on the
And
request.
we know that the need is
Great.
increasing, and unfortunately, I think it's going to continue to increase.
Yep.
There's also the matter of the housing or
Right.
the physical location is going to have to change.
Right,
That might be outside of the grant request, but it's something to keep in mind in terms of context.
right.
What about giving them 80?
Uh,
I like 80.
I will take 80, but of course I will go for more if we can,
Yeah.
but
Will I.
80 is a place to start.
I would too, but I was just trying to find a place to start.
Okay.
I will take it as I'm gonna switch back over here. We will start as 80.
Okay.
Leaves us 120K. We have NAMI and Fairwinds. By the numbers, we would start with NAMI's request.
I'd rather go to Fair Winds first.
Yeah. me too.
I think of the
How much-
two, I think Fair Winds is kind of critical to me.
What did we give them last year?
We gave them 115,000. They asked for 175. So
would
their
be
ask this year is much more reasonable than it was last year. It was 191,000
Yeah.
the year before that, and we gave them 187,000 that year. So it's
uh,
down from last year.
But that
This was another,
includes, yeah,
this was another combined.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they have not asked for any substance misuse this year.
yeah.
So their application was far better than what we've ever seen.
That's for sure.
That's
Yeah.
for sure.
And
mean-
You know,
we did ask them also to give us a breakdown of their
priority list, which I have in
priorities.
front of me. Hold on.
And,
I have
you know, over the years, we had asked them formally, informally to do a management audit, and they've asked for that in their grant application this year. And I think Joanna, you had mentioned during the interview that that's something that they could get funded elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
what they said in their thing, which I have in front of me, the management audit, their big ticket item is the psychiatry gap funding. That's 75,000.
Yeah.
Then they have the management audit they're asking for 15.4, but the total audit cost is 25,000. So they're eating the rest of it. Human resource essentials, 3,900, licensed drug and alcohol counselor, 5,700, Alice training, 10,500. Attachment regulation and competency trauma training is 4,500. Training incentives are 10,000. Their biggest thing is the 75,000 for the psychiatric gap funding.
yeah.
And
I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, I think that it's the management audit that doesn't fit our mission.
Yeah.
Right?
They need to do that anyway.
Yes.
Well,
And I
and-
think that Remain, that's something that they could go to and ask Remain for. Remain definitely does those types of grants.
And we may use limit those fundings as we see fit, so we can give them X amount of money for use Y and the amount of money for use A. If we want to put structure on how that award is put together, we are entirely okay with that. In the past, they have asked towards the end of the year to change the allocations as the situation has changed in Q4. Most often that is moving more money from one use case into either translation or into sliding fee as usage in the last quarter is up. That's happened twice to my knowledge. Does not look to be happening anymore. The last 2 years, they haven't had that issue at all.
Mhm.
Here's the deal, guys. The first three, they put them in order. Psychiatric gap funding, 75,000. Training incentives,
50.
10,000, which we had talked about with them. And the third one is attachment regulation competency, specifically dealing with trauma. That's 4,500. That's 90,000 and almost 90,000. If you
Right.
gave them 100,000, that would cover also the Alice training. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we gave them 100,000, and they left 5, 6, and 7 out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if we do 100, how does that affect our numbers?
Put 100 in, that will bring us up to 629. Which is when we're gonna have to start adjusting.
Right.
Or
Right.
give the rest to NAMI and leave it alone?
Restrictions for veterans.
Or go 90 here, because 90 takes out the first three.
All right. So let's put 100 in for Fairwinds.
Then may I take a brief moment now to get the pulse? You would like
What? You're not speaking in your microphone.
I forgot to press the button. You would like this $100,000 use restricted, 75K for the sliding fee scale, 25K.
Did they ask for
No,
slides?
it doesn't work. That
That was
doesn't
the-
work that way.
Gap
Their,
funding.
Yeah.
their
that's-
first
that's-
three,
that's
their
the
first
gap
three
funding.
priorities.
No, we can use restrict it however we would like to.
I want them to use their list for their priorities, which is actually 89,500 is their first three. It's 99,500 if you take number 4 as well.
Okay, and then I'll double check with you guys about the restrictions after. To my knowledge, we want to make sure there's 25K for the training and incentive budget, correct?
Training is only 10,000.
The management audit was 15.
Okay, then in
Yeah,
that,
we left that out.
54.
then I'll double check with this later. I just want to make sure we get the restriction in so that the proportion that's spent matches what you guys are looking for. But for now, we're
I'm
doing
just
100.
I'm just looking at their thing,
Okay,
what they want for priorities. And it's 99,500 for their first 4 priorities. Psychiatry, training, trauma training, and Alice training. That covers their training. The first 4, and that's 99,500. Or 99,000 even. Oh, actually, it's 100,000 even. 75 and 10, 85,000. That's 89,500. That's 900. Yes, the first 4 are exactly 100,000. They're all their training is included.
so then I will split it when I'm writing the agreement. 75K goes to gap funding, and then I will have the remainder as 25K for training and internal operations.
No, it's all training.
Well, the management audit isn't, but so
Well, I didn't
got
include
you.
the
I've
management.
got
I
it.
didn't include the
Right.
management audit.
I've
We
got it.
kept
I've
that
got it.
out.
Sorry.
It's
sorry,
item
I-
1
I-
to 4 on their priority.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
1
Linda,
to
I
4.
misunderstood. Okay. That leaves us at 629,965 with NAMI, Lighthouse, Boys and Girls, Dreamland, and Athenaeum, as yet not allocated.
I would just as soon keep them at 0 and give NAMI the other the whatever it is, 30 grand, 20 grand, whatever it is. I don't see a whole lot of cut coming to give any of those a token. And I don't think we should give them a token at this point.
What would we want to give NAMI more? is the
I would
question.
want to give NAMI more because that would only be,
6.
$30,000,
rather.
31,000. 30,000 basically for
21,
NAMI. And I
21.
think it's got to be more.
21,015.
Yeah, read 21.
Yeah, 21, right. It has to be more than that. You know, I know Fairwinds asked here
Uh,
for 75, but
Just to, I had heard, and I don't know anything about this organization, but I'd heard that Fairwinds got $550,000 from something called the Dragonfly.
right,
That's their
It's their big
internal
fundraiser.
fundraising.
right.
It
And-
was one that was at one point split between NAMI and Fairwinds.
And now
Yeah.
Fairwinds is the only benefactor for that.
Okay,
So Fairwinds, does have some nice fundraising behind them.
Is that a one-shot deal?
I think it's a yearly program and I assume that
an
it's
annual event.
continuing, for this year that they are the benefactor. I haven't seen
I've
anything
seen it.
differently.
They are the benefactor,
Okay,
the beneficiaries. sorry.
beneficiary, I should say, yeah, yeah, not the benefactor.
But that is, yeah, it's run outside of Fairwind, so
Right,
it can change
right.
without them.
Right. I think we need to come up with more for NAMI. And I don't know if we take it away from Fairwinds to give to NAMI. Or
Guys, I
health
mean,
imperatives.
All right, how about this? How about in the herd goes down to 50? Interfaith goes down to 75. Sherburne goes down, or that's level funded actually. Warming Place goes down to 50. And that'll give them more money. I don't even know what that total is if we do that. But if we take 10
Jericho
away,
stepped away for a
Herb.
second.
yeah, that's not, I mean, I don't know if I would agree with those reductions. I mean, I might take, Ugh, this is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I might take 6,000 from a safe place, so they get 60,
Okay.
and maybe,
And is somebody adding this up when we do this?
Yeah, Jericho's back, so 60,000 on Safe Place.
right, so
Okay.
there was another one. So health imperatives, take them down to 120. So now we just got 11,000 more dollars.
And what
Right,
about her down to
In the
50?
herd to 50.
I mean, all right, maybe 55.
Okay.
Interfaith council, maybe 75.
I hate cutting that program.
Yeah.
Me too. What is there
Just to
left
give
now?
somebody almost 50. That's enough.
I thought we have 675.
No,
650.
Oh, it's
650.
650. Okay.
650.
That's what
All
I'm
right, so
saying.
then maybe take the warming place to 55, but that hurts too.
Okay, I have a question. We haven't gotten to our substance misuse. But
Oh, NAMI's who's under the substance misuse? Yeah.
we haven't gotten down to
Health
substance
imperatives,
misuse.
NAMI, PRISM, and addiction solutions.
Right. If we can,
NAMI can pick up
There's-
some money there.
say that again, I'm sorry, Joanna.
That NAMI could pick up some money there.
Yep.
No, never mind.
I
Just
don't
keep going.
understand. Yeah,
They can't
okay.
apply it across the programs like.
I understand.
Right, and it's a completely different area. Um,
Take the warming place down to 50 or 55.
Yeah.
And so NAMI's getting 46,015.
Yeah.
I just can't cut any of the rest of them. Given how much direct services the other guys are getting.
Right. It's a
46,
large cut though.
15.
015.
Well, it is a large cut, but you know, the needs are so ridiculous.
So the most reduced. So this is subsidies to direct service delivery.
Yeah,
This
what if we
direct-
took, can we take, if we go to health imperatives, can we take them down to 115? And then that gives them just a little bit more. So what's
We
the
gave them
total?
132 last year
I know,
and
but
187 the year before that and 120 in
imperatives-
FY 23.
NAMI or health imperatives are we talking about?
Health imperatives.
imperatives.
Right, well,
We're
health
cutting them down for for farther than we've ever cut them.
health imperatives though, didn't last year include some NAMI money or no?
No,
No,
132,000 for them, for that program.
Yeah, and that would have been pulled out from the, that is not a combined
part.
award like this one.
right.
Go back to the other page again.
This one,
Where'd we go? Where is health imperatives? Where'd it go?
At
Here.
150.
There it is. I don't really want to cut them anymore
Well, I
than
can't-
120.
There's also 20, how much are they asking? They're asking for
25.
25
23,
under
25.
substance misuse.
That's different than I'm coming in for a pap smear, guys.
Right.
No, I get it. Okay, well, then we could potentially do some small things, which is we could take Nantucket Star to 30,000. We could take Martha's Vineyard Community Service to 19. We could knock off like the random amounts.
Rangers, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's sort of nickel and dime, but it
Yeah,
may,
I can't stand that. But if you want to
Right.
take down star to 30,000, take the 1625 out of there.
Yeah, that's not gonna make a huge difference, right? And the elder services, 30,600, like taking them down to 30,000, not gonna make a huge difference.
Well, when you add
Right.
up add them all up, that's about 2 grand. So you might as
Yeah.
well just go ahead and do it. So go to, on elder services at the top. Go to 30 grand even and put the 600, what was it, 600?
Yeah.
That 51.
Sherburne 17,
1716.
2, 3. Where's Sherburne?
Make it 17 flat.
Yeah,
Star 31,
yeah,
or
just,
30,
31
maybe
even.
30 on Star.
30?
yeah, 30.
Oop, not 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
Leaves us
so
with
now-
3 grand as per that, which would bring NAMI up to 54.
No, she wanted to give it back to health imperatives.
Oh, sorry. That'll put up to 118.
18. That's okay, that's better.
Okay, and leave it alone.
okay, can we leave this as it is and go on to substance? Because there is a issue that we need to talk about with substance and one of the applicants.
Okay.
But just to stay there for a second, wasn't there something was floating around a couple of weeks ago that we give it all to just one entity type of thing?
That's a different grant.
Yeah, that
Different
would be-
one.
That's for the opioid remediation fund money, different funding source, more restricted disbursement things, and we'd have to start that in March, April.
Okay, because I didn't think that was right here. Okay.
No, no, different. And
Alright,
gonna
what are we
just
talking about?
jump
What's the
right to
problem
this
down here?
with Prism.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna turn it to Jericho right now.
So Prism, it turns out, has applied for a 501c, but is not currently in possession of one. You need to be eligible to receive the grant at the point of application, which was a precedent we established with Addiction Solution, where they withdrew their request a few years ago.
Right.
Once they have confirmed 501c status, they may apply in a different grant cycle. But as of right now, I cannot award money until they have 501c status. We need to make and finalize our recommendations now to get them approved for annual town meeting.
And we have 175 here, don't we?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Well,
And
then we
right
got to
now-
figure out how we want to award that.
Well, if we full fund, we cannot award here.
Right,
which
forget that
means
one.
Right.
But can we
You're-
give the other
If
ones
we,
more?
if we fully fund the other three, it leaves 41,400 of that 175.
Which we can allocate with the CPC has exceeded grant requests because we had extra money also. You're allowed to do that.
We cannot.
We
cannot
can.
award more, we cannot award more money than is asked.
Okay, my question. I know that there are two separate buckets,
Yep.
but if we have 41,000 in the one bucket, can we make a request to the finance committee to move that 41,000 into the
Nami.
other bucket?
So in the past, it would be a hard no. Because
Yeah.
in the past, this was assessed from impact costs.
Right,
It has changed since then, so there is possibility for us to do that, but I would suspect it is unlikely.
Could we
Well,
use,
what happens if we make the argument that if we take that 41,000 that we had to cut out a NAMI up in the other section, and we take that 41,000 and apply it directly to NAMI up in the other section,
So the reason
that
why
would be a
we
better
could-
argument.
the
Yeah,
reason
explain
we-
why. Yeah,
The reason why we could not do that in the past is because the money was collected as part of cannabis impact fees, which meant
I
that
know,
it
that's the
had to-
past.
Hold on, and then that means it had to be spent on specific substance misuse program.
Yeah, but that's in the past.
We could not apply it to the general human services fund because it had different restrictions on the collection and usage of that money. However, this year, we did not collect impact costs, which means that this money was allocated out of, I think, the Special Stabilization Fund, which means we may have more flexibility in how it is allocated. I will reach out to Brian this afternoon to try and get clarity on that. But I think that for the purposes of this recommendation process, we have to assume no. Which means
Okay,
we
he's
would,
traveling back from Florida today, so you might
He's-
not be able to get him until Monday.
yeah, we had a chat about the PRISM matter yesterday. I'm
Yeah,
gonna try and
I
get in
talked to him
touch
in
with this
Florida.
afternoon. He got back to an email, so this has been on his, like, this particular question, both the funding sources and the CRC application process this year has been something he's been following along. So I'll reach out to him. In the past, this would be a flat no, which is why I am cautiously pessimistic at this point.
I have one.
I'd like to make the,
idea
I'd
that
like to
might
make the
be-
request that we ask to take this 41 from here and put it back into NAMI in the other fund.
We are going to make that request. What I was cautioning is that it might just flatly be illegal or against best practices or town policy to do so. I'll check on that, but sorry, Sue.
So what we didn't fund in the Fairwinds was a licensed drug and alcohol counselor certification. That
Mhm.
might be a compelling
Yep.
movement in funds. We could add that back in. It's clearly related to
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
the intent of the other one.
The
Yep.
issue is they
I-
did not make an application under the substance like,
Right. No, I get that, but I'm
I
just
just
saying.
soon
it's-
take the rest of the
a
money and
compelling
throw it
reason.
back into NAMI. That'll solve that problem.
I will absolutely ask if that's acceptable. I just am, based on the preponderance of procurement law and funding source issues, that is, like, previously, it would have been a flat no. The only reason why there's even a sliver of possibility this year is because of the difference in funding sources.
Right.
The source of the funding is the difference.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Joanna, you look like you had an idea there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about, I'm just trying to think of a strategy, right, that would allow us to do a few things differently. And one of the things, and I think part of what I'm thinking about could be a timing issue, because of our plans to kind of rehab this in the spring. But one of the thoughts I had, because I did kind of do a little research into what it would take for us to ask for more money, and the feedback I got that effort would have to be led by you, Jericho, in terms of writing a letter, and saying, putting forth a case, right? Over these past years, we've had this much money in requests. We've only been able to fund these. This hampers our ability to seed money, to the point of some of the things we've been discussing, new programs or projects that could really impact different areas of the community. We recommend that, a few of these places be funded outside of this grant and and we contribute to them in a different way. And I think that is the larger issue that we're having, right? Because, for example, let's just take out, right, Fairwinds and health imperatives. If we took that money out of this budget, right, that's $218,000. We historically give both of these places, and have for a very long time, subsidy, right? We could make the same argument for the Interfaith Council. Those three places provide the bulk of support for certain populations on Nantucket. And I doubt that we will ever go below what we are giving. In fact, if anything, everyone on this committee would like to give those three places more money, right?
So yeah, and if I may follow,
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead. I was
No.
gonna say, so if I may follow up on that, I have to make a budgetary request with this coming fiscal year to replace the cannabis or
Right.
with substance misuse grant. So this year, I will be doing a budgetary request to include 650 plus 175 for an undifferentiated 825K,
Mhm.
which will keep us level funded from last year, but we will not have restrictions on where the money goes next year.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
what you meant by undifferentiated. So basically, your request would be for 850. But and I know we're jumping ahead because this is another we also know that the 650 has been flat for many years.
Right.
And there's been increase in population and there's been increase
Needs.
in cost of operating.
So
And needs, just the needs, basic needs, as baby boomers
so
get over 60.
we can't conclusively demonstrate an increase of needs with empirically collected data, which is what the full justification to increase it over its current amount is. My strategy or my plan was to do a request for this combined amount of money, then look at the fact that since the 650 point was established, there has been at least 15% net inflation. And I would be asking for and I'll do a better job
A
of
calculation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking along the same things. I was thinking along the fact that the research that I've done on this issue basically shows that if you don't get a cost of living increase of 5% on Nantucket, you're losing money every year.
Yep.
Is it, you said 5% every year?
Yeah.
I think the agreed upon COLA for this last year for the town was like 7.2%, and it's
Yeah.
still be looked
Yep.
at as a reduction compared to actual increase in cost of living.
Yeah. Otherwise, the people that you pay, that the people who work for you are losing money.
Hmm.
So the core proposal I am going to go to this will be for fiscal year 27 is going to be the 650 plus the 175 plus
Speak
50.
into your microphone.
Oh, yeah. It'll be 650 for the human services, 175 that was being replaced from the substance misuse grant, and then a 15% adjustment, which puts us at like 975, just a shade under 1 million. I am almost certain I will not get the full 15%, but by establishing that these costs go up on an annual basis, and honestly, food costs for certain ones have gone up 30%.
Right.
Yeah.
So the fact that there is not a built-in annual adjustment to this means that we need to argue for that. And I think that just normalizing the currently allocated amount of money based on cost and inflation increases puts us just shy of $1 million.
Well, that will solve some of these problems, but we still have this year. The other
Exactly.
The other thought that I had, Jericho and Veronica, is when you, because this has to all get written into a report. When you write the report and when you go to the finance committee this year, some of the feedback that I also got is that you could make an argument for some additional money there, based on some of what we've been talking about. We had $1.4 million in requests. We were unable to give any funding to 4 places who deserved money. We had to reduce our practice of level funding the top 4 service providers on the island, Fairwinds, Interfaith Council, Health Imperatives, etc. We had to give them less money. And I think that if you made that argument and said, I mean, we're not looking for a lot more money this year, right? For this budget, if we had another $100,000, it would make a big difference to these organizations.
Well, to my knowledge, this is the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th zero award we've ever given.
Right. This is my point. So I think that this is the work of this committee now is to help you, right, create a report that we can give at the finance committee where we say we would like to not give 0 grants to people who approach us. And we had to cut 3 places that we didn't want to cut. Is there any possibility that we could get X amount of money more in this year's budget. And then I think you say, however, because there was one applicant in substance applicants who timing didn't work out to fund their grant request, because this is going to come up at the finance committee, because as you know, Isaiah has also has a citizen warrant article for $300,000. So this is going to come up and they're going to ask about it because it came up when we reviewed his citizen warrant article. Anyway, I think that if we can craft this into something that makes sense and is easy to present, you have a chance of it. So if we could then take the difference in the substance abuse grant, what is it, $40,000? Did we just say?
Yeah.
So if we could say, we'd like to move that money over here and we'd like another $60,000 so that we can so we can give Fairwinds what they want, give Health Imperatives what they want, give Interfaith Council what they want, and give these 4 0 grants at least $10,000 each, you might have a chance of getting that.
Okay.
That's
So,
my
yeah.
pitch.
And I
But
think-
Jericho, you have to be willing to advance this.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I like, so the issue of clarity on budget allocations for the CRC and substance misuse is one that has come up repeatedly. It's what the last sort of year and a half of that study was about. I have no trouble doing this. The report is going to be written as we're going to be starting to work on that.
On Monday.
Yeah.
Monday morning, if anyone is available, as long as we don't have a quorum, we're going to work Monday morning on starting the report, you know.
I will not be available Monday.
Okay.
No worries. This wouldn't be an official meeting, so we have to keep
Oh, no.
2 members
I'm
or
just-
less.
I'll be on the way.
When is this gonna happen? Monday morning?
I'm off and on all morning.
Yeah.
I blocked off.
I
like,
think 9
morning.
o'clock on.
Yeah.
At your
Um,
office?
I'll be in Jericho's
My
office.
Or
But you
if
can
we
only
have-
get like one person in there?
I mean, if we get enough people in, we'll move over to the trailer, assuming it's open.
Yeah.
But this would count as deliberation if there are more than 2 people operating on it at once.
I mean, I could definitely, I will be traveling, but I could call in. And that way somebody else could come in after me. Do you know what I mean? So I'm happy to
Okay.
talk about this on Monday morning because I think this is important. To Linda's point, I really don't want to reduce some of those really, I'm going to call them core services that we provide the community. And I don't like the idea of giving the other people just 0.
I do think there is a need and a role for those 3, like these kind of events.
Yeah.
Really do drive conversations and they really do address core concerns around the island.
Well, they create awareness. They create awareness of problems and they bring them
Exactly.
out to the community. And what we're trying to do is create community conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
because regardless of the actions of this committee and the funding, we need the entire community to be working on these things, and we need to do.
We need the awareness, and they can still say
one-to-many
no.
communications.
They could still say no, but I think that for our purposes, if this committee kind of was able to move forward into presenting a really tight argument about these things and did it in a way that was compelling, we also set the groundwork for your larger request.
So
Exactly.
to be clear, the report is going to include the vitals of all of the requests from this year. It'll include like the vital information for each org that we collected from the little table there. It's going to be a brief description of specifically what the service we're providing is going to be, what we're paying for. And then it's going to be a breakdown of what they contribute, like what their award from us is recommended. And then the conclusion is going to be trends in spending, cost increases, and then the issues we had resolving, and so breaking this money down.
Yes, I think that's the key part of this, Jericho, is to be able to communicate that there are 3 organizations on here, 4 if you include NAMI, where we would have given them considerably, we would have met their request or given them more money. And there are well, forget the Boys and Girls Club because that's a capital request. There are 3 other places that we would have given at least some money to, but we've had to turn away because the budget is so limited.
And so the plan is for the document to be done by Tuesday in a rough
Right.
form, to be distributed out to everyone for comments and or approval.
Right,
Then
Yep.
our meeting with FinCom, I believe, is currently scheduled for March.
right.
We
Yeah.
cannot approve anything by email. You
No,
can't do
but-
it.
Okay,
But you can
I
tell me
can-
if you have problems with it.
Yes, I can tell you that, but we cannot approve it unless we meet again to approve the report.
okay.
And we can meet again via Zoom.
We could do a Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
So
You-
I did tell you this, I think, Veronica, that the FinCom wants this report before
yes,
March, but she wants it before February vacation.
That's
right.
fine.
So if we do, next week, it'll be written. We can circulate it via email as a draft for comments. And then potentially the week after, we have a Zoom meeting to just approve the report. And then after that, it can be released. So that would be before February 15th.
and we
Okay,
can
that's
Yeah,
good.
share a draft report for ratification afterwards, if you guys are comfortable with that. So if the getting a meeting together in between when we're done writing the report but when we present it to FinCom is an issue, we can present it as a draft, and then we can intake whatever feedback we get through the FinCom process and then adopt it as an official document.
No, I don't mind meeting at a Zoom meeting. I don't mind meeting next Friday at a Zoom meeting because that seems to be the date that we're always using.
I think that's probably not a bad idea. I expect to have the outline and the skeleton together by Monday afternoon, and then I intend to have it ready for you guys to send out by Tuesday.
mhm.
Okay, and then why don't we just go ahead and schedule a meeting for next Friday at the usual time?
And
Probably
it'll
won't
be
take
a
that
Zoom,
long.
it'll be a
Zoom
Zoom
only.
only meeting.
Zoom only meeting for next Friday. We'll get that in and we'll get the agenda posted.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's
Hour.
an hour,
I
probably
think
be
we just-
fine.
Yeah.
honestly. So what I'll do is I will send out and receive comment from you before the meeting, if at all possible. And then we will adopt the final document in that meeting next Friday at 9.
Okay,
We still have to vote today on what we've done today.
So we
Right.
would need a motion to adopt as written these grant, what is it? Recommendations.
recommendations. Move to adopt these grant recommendations as discussed this morning.
Second,
Need a vote?
Okay,
Yep.
can I have discussion first? All right, just so I understand, so we're gonna keep as we have up on the screen. But what we are ultimately gonna be asking is
But
for
that's
more
not part of the
money.
vote. Veronica,
Not
that's not part of the vote.
No, okay.
Nope.
no,
We- the
this is
Okay,
vote-
straight
all
vote.
right,
This
so
is
just
a
the vote,
straight vote.
okay.
Yep.
All righty,
And that
so-
includes the substance abuse as well.
Correct,
Misuse.
correct.
okay. All right, so, now we'll move just to the vote then, okay. Linda,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
John,
I,
and myself, I. All right.
Okay, now you can
Well-
editorialize.
Okay, now, okay, so now my discussion on this. So this is what we've adopted, but ultimately we are gonna we are gonna be asking for additional, so we don't have to zero award.
My understanding is I will be immediately asking, like after this meeting, whether or not I can reallocate the unused
Yes.
$14,000 from here.
Yes.
Yes,
And then if that can be applied here, we'll have to talk about it next Friday. I'll
Right.
have a
Correct.
yes or no on that by next Friday. If we do that, then we will be able to amend these with the $40,000 or with the difference between these two.
Okay,
Mhm. And let's
Then
see where we get.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
moving forward, regardless of the outcome of the difference between these awards, I'm gonna be discussing a explicit budgetary request process for FY 27. So we will know ideally, we would know before we're doing before we write the RFP for next fall.
Right.
Yes, but you're
Yes.
also gonna you're gonna set this stage when you deliver the report on this
Yep.
at
Yep.
FinCom.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So just in the immediate, report on Monday, and if necessary, we'll continue doing that on Tuesday. So by Wednesday, it should be circulated as a draft. We will get together next Friday at 9 a.m. via Zoom to approve the report, and we should have an update on if that money can be reallocated in the other areas.
Yep. Then you'd have to adjust the report after that if we can do that.
We
And
can
then,
just- so-
and
so
then
the
we just vote
report-
on the report as amended and you just go ahead and amend it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not gonna ask you guys to accept anything you haven't read. Worst case
No, I'm not
is,
saying that.
okay.
It's just
so,
simply
yeah,
changing the amounts at that point.
yes. And that would be, so these are still only recommendations until after the vote on Article 9 at town meeting. So
Correct.
the report consists of our recommendations, not the actual funding numbers.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will make sure there are asterisks in there about what the context of the decision is and what we're asking for. So that
Okay.
FinCom is aware of the process we're going through.
Okay. So
Cool.
everyone know the marching orders for the next week.
Yep.
Yep.
Alright? And John, if next Friday,
God willing, the creeks don't rise
Okay.
and my computer is functioning down in Florida.
okay,
I mean,
and
in
I'm,
Georgia.
and I'm off the ferry at 8:45, so I will pull into a spot that I can then do the Zoom at 9 a.m. That would be perfectly fine.
Okay.
So, okay.
The
um,
last thing that I just want to discuss before we adjourn is that 9, discuss application for opioid settlement grant.
Yep.
This is just gonna be a timeline thing, so that's gonna be about, and I think I mentioned some of this last week, but just so we're all on the same page, we will do a small abbreviated grant process. Basically from between March and April or so, which will be a single grant award for around 55,000 that must be given to opioid related issues. There's only a few agencies on Nantucket that should be able to apply for that, so it should be a quick application and evaluation process, and it's just gonna be one award to one agency.
Okay.
When do they have to apply for that?
TBD, basically, we're gonna need to get, I'm gonna, probably slightly modify the substance misuse grant to restrict it to along the lines of that settlement. And then we'll release it. I'm gonna try to have at least a month of application time for any agency that writes an application for us, because 2 weeks is too short to write an application. And then we would then release it, hopefully end of March. They'd have the month of April to work on it. We would then be able to do an abbreviated evaluation of any applicants and return that recommendation to FinCom ahead of ratification for the FY 27.
I assume that at least two of the ones that are on the list right now are have to apply.
Yeah, I don't see any way around 2 or 3 of the agencies up here being able to apply for that, but we cannot allow potential to earn grants later on to impact our allocation process now.
Yeah.
Right.
How is this gonna be advertised? So we'll do the same 2 weeks posting, and then we'll do additional social media, and then I'll do direct outreach and probably do like an office hours for anyone involved.
Okay. Alrighty.
Cool.
I believe it brings us up to just Any new business?
For me.
All right. The only
I
thing,
thought this process today, Madam Chair, it was really well done. I mean, wasn't contentious. It wasn't, I mean, I thought that the conversations were fantastic as to each one of these things. I think it went really, really well today. I'm very pleased.
and I'd like to just add ditto to that. I appreciate that. And, you know, I know that we are looking at the rubric, but the rubric served a purpose, and that's what it should be doing. And this becomes part of our official document moving forward. So thank you one and all. What I would like to make a request is that this document up on the screen, if you can share it with us all as and at this point, we'll write draft on it
Yeah.
because it is draft, but at least we can have this updated document. Just thinking of what else is on the pike. We are moving forward with the needs assessment.
I believe it's just, I got several email notifications from the procurement platform. I think it was just uploaded to bidding now, but I'll have to confirm that.
Okay, so the needs assessment will be moving forward, and if all goes according to what we would like, that in the fall, by late fall, we will have a real document that we can, you know, dig our teeth into.
My suspicion is we'll have a preliminary outline. by then,
Okay.
yes.
Now, with the spreadsheet of the awards, one thing that I had wanted on here is to have it divided up by segment receiving our grants. And Jericho and I have had this conversation that we don't really have a clear definition of segments. So we could say that it goes to food insecurity or housing or, you know, whatever. There's a number of different ways to slice and dice. And I think that the needs assessment will have that we can then come back and look back. But I would like everyone to sort of think about how we could be looking at the past and what we just did, because ultimately we want to make sure that we are hitting all the needs on the island with what we're awarding. And right now, we're just using,
Veronica,
yep,
I
Yes.
think that Sunny has some criteria for doing that.
okay,
She's got,
Sh-
she has the sectors, like she has a sector
Yes.
down. And actually,
Yes,
that's a good point. I'll make sure we should align with them whenever possible, just because it makes it an easier funding process.
yes,
for all of us. Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
we should ask them for what their definition of each is, and we should review it as a group.
good, thank you, Joanna.
And
That-
to that point, I just have one other thought that I wanted to share. When the Community Foundation awards their grants in health and human services, they have an award ceremony where each of these organizations stands up and says something for a few minutes, and the Community Foundation gets to say why they're doing this. I really feel like we should do that, because I don't think the general public understands that the town of Nantucket gives away this money every year, and that they support these organizations in the way that they do. And I think that we should celebrate that instead of having it be just an aside, right? So I don't know, Jericho, if there's some money in your budget to be able to have some sort of a little reception. But I would be happy to volunteer to help you plan that.
Okay.
The assistance in planning will be necessary.
Okay,
I
and-
would suggest we don't do anything until fiscal year 27, sorry, until after June of this year, when the awards are finalized.
right, of course, of course.
Yes, of course, but I also feel like there should be a press release, and that this should be, we, first of all, this committee spends a considerable amount of time on this. And these organizations go through a considerable process in order to get this money. And I think it should be acknowledged.
And I think this is along the same thought of the town of Nantucket logos should be on
Yes.
every single thing. So it's more of making an awareness that our tax dollars are funding these
Right.
needs on the island. So good point, Joanna. Thank you. All right.
So, yes, so my, next Friday on the agenda, we'll add a, outgoing communications request. Just so
Okay.
I know
Okay.
what you want to do.
All
Okay.
right. Very good. All right. With that said, does anyone like to,
I would make a motion to adjourn.
all right. do have
I
a
will
second?
second.
All right. Thank you, one and all,
got
for
vote.
work. I know we're wrote, so can I have a vote? Let's have Joanna,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
and I say aye, and I say thank you to all for the tremendous amount of work that goes into this, and moving forward, I think we're doing good stuff. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Good.
Thank you for your leadership.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, Veronica.
All right, everyone, thank you very much. We'll get the agenda and invite over for Friday, as soon as we can, and then I will see you all then.